Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to your Wednesday night show. That's right. It's not quarantine kind of playing tricks on you. This is not, wait a minute. I thought it was Wednesday.
It's
They're on, and something's not right here. No, we are coming to you on, it was the holiday week. We had to mess with you just a little bit. But no, John and I, we've got a great show for you lined up tonight, and it's going to take us 5 minutes to do it. And then we're going to spend the other 55 minutes talking about a whole bunch of other things.
it'd be excellent and awesome all at the same time. Oh, so it's been an interesting week, Dan. Things are changing around the country. Things are opening up. Things are being modified literally as like every 2 days. There's new declarations being handed out, and with all of this craziness going on and all this uncertainty, what I wanted to kind of hit tonight was there's things that we want to kind of hold our money right now because of the uncertainty, but there's things that people should be kind of maybe thinking about investing in for their business. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. For those of you who are out there, tonight we're only broadcasting to YouTube on this show because of we're trying to figure out a few different things. So we're going to talk about some things, and you guys can share some things that you're putting your money into right now, and just so we can get an idea of, we were talking to last night a couple of DJs, and they're like, I haven't spent anything beyond food. That's been it. And I think there's a lot of us like that, but then there's some people who are investing in their businesses, and that's what the discussion we want to have tonight. So, okay.
Everything okay?
Yep.
Okay.
We're just messaging here. So Dan, this is as you're kind of bouncing around on social media and such. Have you been hearing? Some people are recommending some different investments, right, or to do things, investing for their business right now. What kind of things have you been hearing out there?
I'm seeing a lot of people that are typically more high-end wedding DJs that are getting into more AV type of work. And what I mean by that is they're tackling the idea of, okay, no, I'm not going to be able to have weddings, or it's going to be a while before my state decides to allow us to have weddings, even if they start to open up. And so they're looking for ways to maybe attack that corporate area as well as that family entertainment. One of the things that the quarantine has been really nice for everybody, I should say not everybody, for most people, is the added family time. You've been together, you've been doing all these different things. And I would say a lot of families have kind of rekindled that connection because you're not running to 50,000 activities all at once. But what has started to kind of happen with that is there's kind of a search of, well, we'd like to do something. So I've seen an uptick between quite a few of my friends that have suddenly decided that they're going to offer the movie theater, the pop-up movie theaters. The big inflatable screens and their projectors, and they're going after that market a little bit and focusing. They're not getting into showing the movie because there's the whole licensing aspect to that, but they're renting out the screen to show it on. And so it's allowing families to invest in that and give them something to do. So I'm seeing a big uptick in that. And then I'm also seeing the corporate, going after a little bit more of the corporate. And I was, like, listen, nothing's coming in, not having an event whatsoever. And I had a business that reached out and like, we've got a first anniversary party. We've been closed. We want to make it big. We want to make it up to our crew. We want to make it up to our clients, or not clients. I'm sorry. To our employees. And so as a result, they're having a party when a lot of people are like, no, we're staying away. So out of nowhere, that kind of came in, and I'm seeing some other people kind of saying the similar type of ideas. They're not big lavish parties, but there's still something. They're where weddings have, and they can be more last minute.
I think the last minute things are definitely have become big, and some of those last minute events have been these little driveway parties, the bubble party things. Somebody asked yesterday of what I've seen that has been the most successful, and what, again, with this idea of what we can invest in, and it's like one of the top 10's has got to be a bubble machine. As weird and hokey as that might sound. We watch some of our Facebook friends who are doing these driveway parties or these cul-de-sac parties, and invariably they're doing an afternoon, they're doing an hour, half hour to an hour, and there's a bubble machine or six around the area, and the kids are just absolutely going crazy. So you've got that, and then you've got, as you were mentioning, the corporate world, which is, I would not have thought that was going to be an area that there was going to be a lot of demand, but I've been hearing it even myself up here, that they don't have the ability to do an outdoor thing at the level they want to do it. What can you do for me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just reading the chat as well.
Yeah, just checking on that. And James mentioned in the chat about upgrading to Evolve 50s and some lights and doing some advertising and such. As a lot of Chrome is crashing again tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's we still have the stream. It's just a Chrome thing. The idea with the idea of getting the speakers. Yeah, it's a Java alert. I just got a whole page of Java stuff going here. The idea of taking some of the funding that, some companies were well prepared and they had money aside. Many of them didn't, but there's been some money out there that they've been able to get into either the PPP side of things, or maybe they got the EIDL loan, or they might have gotten the unemployment, what have you. Some people are actually making more money right now than they would be DJing.
Yeah.
Which is, kind of surprising. I don't think that was the intent of it, but that's understandable. If they're making more money, I think that the idea of buying and upgrading speakers and such, as I was talking to a dealer, and it wasn't Ben Stowe, by the way. They were saying like, this is almost the time to go and make an offer. Any reasonable offer won't be refused type of a situation, because no one's moving bigger ticket items. So there's an incentive from the manufacturer side to move things, as well as the dealer side. So it's a great time to, if you are looking and you've got the money sitting, this is the time to invest it.
I definitely saw bigger sales when we were talking about Memorial Day weekend. You typically see sales come through. Some of the big items that you would usually see, maybe like 5% off or a 10%, type of thing, or stores that might offer 15% but leave out certain manufacturers. That was not the case this time.
Right.
Just some big ticket items that I was just like, I'm fine. There's nothing that I was particularly, looking for and wanting. It wasn't, I need to save my money and not spend anything. It was just, I don't need anything.
Yep.
But I was like, man, if I was waiting, if I was like, I'm going to take that tax return and I'm going to invest it, I'm glad I wouldn't have spent it like a month ago, because just some of the killer deals that are right there right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Best Buy, because of them being based out here in Minnesota, they made the news by having some Memorial Day sales that were completely blew out their Black Friday sales on some TVs. People were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that they did that kind of pricing." And I don't remember what, because I'm not in the market for a TV, but it was big enough that it made the news, which was kind of surprising.
I think it's important for us to realize, though, as we do have to be smart. We do have to be smart, obviously, about what we're doing. And if you've got no money coming in, then it's very hard and difficult to say, well, I need to spend money X, Y, and Z. But as we're starting to see some things open up, whether not necessarily weddings, but we're starting to see some things open up, it's important that we don't go just nuts about it, but we're methodical in our spending. But it's also important for us to keep in mind that you've got to be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And we've said all along, you've got to be doing something, whether it's a goodwill event that's going to get your name out there. And we're not talking like necessarily a charity, although that's a good idea too, but you're doing something to keep your name in the forefront of people's minds. So that goodwill event, the advertising dollars, maybe you're not spending as much as you had in the past, but we know not everybody's advertising, so a few bucks is going to go a lot farther.
And that was an area I wanted to make sure we hit, was the advertising side of it. Just for that exact reason, there isn't as much competition, and truthfully, we can see this on our these videos. We have the videos are monetized on YouTube because If there's music in it, there's selling the ads, and if there whatever. But we can see that the cost per impression has dropped tremendously just because there isn't many people advertising right now. Facebook, I put up an ad the other day, and the reach for $2 was crazy because there's really not that many people advertising, specifically in this part of the state. I guess I don't know. It's that lull, I suppose, before the political storm kicks in. That some point this summer, all of a sudden, everyone's going to be advertising to reach out to that.
Well, I even saw Facebook now. I don't do a ton of advertising, so maybe it's just, hey, you got to spend your money with us. But there was like a $30 bonus. Spend $10 and get 30 extra. Like,
yes.
I mean, I've had some bonus from them before, but that was like pretty big. I was like, okay, they're hurting. They're looking for anything, not hurting, but you know what I mean. They're looking for anything because to kind of fill some of that void. And if you have a deal like that showing up, if you're not taking advantage of it, you're just missing the opportunity for that better reach.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was actually something Google's been doing for about 2 years, because I really don't do Google ads that often. So if you haven't done them for a couple of months, all of a sudden you go like, hey, spend $50 and get 100 free. And it's interesting. I haven't seen the Facebook one. I'm kind of bummed. That one I would probably take advantage
because
of.
you do more Facebook stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I must be the guy who's who is like, oh, we've already got this guy in the hook. We know better than that. So, let's talk about the video side. I mean, one of the most popular items that are being sold, whether it's, if you look at NLFX emails and ads recently, IDJ now, their emails and ads have been a lot about streaming.
Mm-hmm.
As we go forward, I mean, early on we were thinking that smaller weddings were going to be doing more streaming. Now that DJs are talking to brides about this whole streaming concept, I'm wondering if this is an area which a person would be wise to invest in, to have the quality gear for doing quality streaming, or if it's this whole Zoomitis, as somebody referred to it as, where people are just sick of watching things on their computer via Zoom, and they have no time for it.
I personally think I think it's a good idea to invest in it if you're going to make a run on it, but very few couples, I should say, and because we can't speak for them all, I would imagine are going to pull something together last minute. I know there are some that are kind of holding out hope for their date that things are going to open up, and so that might be a different story. And they're like, okay, well, it didn't open, so we're still going to go forward. And what options do you have? But I look at this as very similar to, if you ask, hey, I'm thinking about getting into uplighting, or I'm thinking about getting into photo boost, or whatever might be some add-on that you're thinking about doing. A lot of times what you'll hear is, try and sell it, then buy it. And I think as long as you're not trying to sell something for 3 weeks from now, maybe 4 weeks from now, you have enough time to get that item in if somebody were to jump on it. And so what I'm saying is I would not run out and buy the latest, greatest HD video camera that if this whole thing were not going on, you wouldn't even think about buying. Now, if you can turn around, you can use it, great. Webcam for your house, okay, great.
Right. Yeah.
But some very high end camera, like we saw when we looked at the Jared Wade stuff a couple weeks ago, where he's doing those with the videos and that. Huge, wanting to get into something like that, make sure you can sell it first before you decide to bring it into your umbrella of offerings, because it is a big investment and it is going to be there. And I would also say, while I've offered that to my couples, I still have a lot of couples that are like, you know what? I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. It's a great option. If I didn't have a choice right now, that'd be a great option. But I've got a choice. I'm willing to wait. Like, that's my choice. And so for me, I was all set. I was going to buy, a bunch of things. And I'm like, I'm glad I held off, just because that would have been a lot of money out of pocket for something that, knock on wood, I would never end up having to use.
Yeah, David mentions, of course, buying and practicing with the video streaming is obviously that gear is a great idea, because there's a lot of nuances to doing the streaming thing. Even those of us who do it quite a bit, we get to that graduation last Saturday, and trying to stream that. And we had a lot of it down, but there were a couple of pieces that just didn't work. So unfortunately, you've got to practice. One thing you just said here, Dan, is if they had the choice, they want to go with the way they initially planned it. Mm-hmm. But they liked the idea if they had to go to a plan B. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be the biggest and probably the most difficult thing for us as the entertainment option is that plan B could be an 11th hour or basically a week before thing where all of a sudden things have changed or what have you, and couples are finding out that, oh, wait, we can't do what we wanted to do, whatever that we wanted to do was. Yeah. And can we go back to do that? And I as much as a person doesn't want to be sticking money, into things, I wonder if we don't have it, if we need to be, finding a way to have it available to us.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about it from that aspect, because you're right, especially if, things open up and whether you believe the critics or not, we're not going that direction tonight.
Right.
But one of the things that has been thrown out there is we're due for another spike this fall. And so how the country reacts, how the governors and officials react to that could be an 11th hour type of situation. So if they say, listen, we're not going to shut everything down, but we're going to take you from being wide open to now you can only have, X amount of people. You're right. You would need to have it. And if you pick it up last minute, even if you say can get it, you're not going to be able to practice with it the way David was talking about. And yeah, it's 100% right. So I guess the question is, at what level do you want to invest with that?
And that really becomes a difficult thing, is because it can get really expensive really quickly. Again, going back to what Jared had, he's got these, prosumer, or actually to the point of being a professional video cameras, switching boards. I mean, the little switching board that I used last Saturday was, the Blackmagic design, the ATEM Mini. $300 is what that was. So it's not four HDMI inputs. It's not breaking the bank. But will that work for some of the needs of what a person was wanting to do? If you want to have it where you have a picture-in-picture or a split screen, or doing different things with that, and cropping in and then having there's so many things that you can't do with that, and it becomes a question of what is your client going to be happy with beyond what they could do with a cell phone sitting up on a stand, because that's really becomes the biggest concern is that if I'm not offering anything better than what they can get from their own devices, I'm not giving them a service that's worth them paying for, really.
Right.
So that's a tough area, I guess. If there's getting back to if you can use it in more than just your that for that one instance for 2 months, maybe this fall, it's probably an investment. If not, it might be one of those things you're gonna have to find somebody who could do that for you, so you're not going to be that's a tough area, because I've talked to some people who've dumped close to $10,000 into live streaming gear, buying a big board, buying cameras, and getting everything, and they're like, okay, I got everything, now what do I do? Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah.
Well, not to mention, and you hit on something, John, where I really think this becomes maybe a better direction to go with it, would be that who can you help bring on? Who can come into the situation, who can be there to be by the side, and whether it's a videographer, whether it's a photographer, whether it's somebody who's a little bit more versed, because a lot of this is technical, and if you're not familiar with how to do it, and even if you take the time to practice it, now think about practicing in the confines of a wedding.
Oh yeah.
While you're doing your MC things, while you're doing all of your other little pieces, if you will, this isn't a tiny bit. Like you're doing a lot, and for one person, that's even more insane. So it is important to find that person that you could bring on in that time to have that experience and utilize it.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about it from that aspect of it. Yeah, I'm trying to DJ. I'm trying to MC. And oh, by the way, just a second.
You gotta push this button over here while I'm pushing this one and talking.
YouTube's being a little glitchy, so just a second, I got to reboot. Everybody, talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Yeah, how that would all come together. I have a power supply. Yay! Thank you. So would a person be best? I guess as you were mentioning that, I was envisioning, in essence, having one of the boys do the just doing the music flipping whilst I would be doing the other things. And of course, the boys have both got experience. Michael and Brandon have got experience with live streaming, so there's parts of that they could handle just as well as anything I could do. But yeah, that manning it, I didn't even think about that logistic because. Yeah, that could be a real problem real quick.
Well, I mean, even something as simple as you set up the camera, and then I mean, think about this: if you've ever taken video, whether you've used it for critiquing yourself or whether you used it for promotional, where you kind of set a camera up and just kind of let it run, inevitably, what always happens? Uncle Bob walks over and stands right in front of it while during the first dance.
Yep.
You know, so you could be like big flashy lights on it so that nobody sees it, or so that everybody sees it rather. They're still going to walk in front of it. So having that second person, even just to go, okay, now we're going to raise it up. Now we're going to move it over here. All exactly. Right. I just can't imagine all the, and this is something I'm planning on offering, but I can't imagine all the extra pieces that would need to go into it to offer it at the scale that it really needs to happen. My plan is to be the 11th hour savior because I have some of the things, not to plan to go hardcore with it. But there definitely, and here's the thing, there definitely is a place for this. I mean, you don't have to go very deep in the Facebook groups to be able to see. There are people that are lining up that are doing these and getting them right and left.
And I do think that this isn't, I mentioned earlier, it's a 2-month investment. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to have a situation where if we can do this at a high enough level, again, better than a cell phone that they could put so grandma can see, because every indication is that we are going to have this type of a thing around for quite a while. And it'll become, how many events will the older generation not come to? But yet they're savvy enough tech-wise that they can go to a YouTube or a Facebook page and watch the video. So streaming events, specifically the ceremony and maybe the cocktail hour, that might become a big thing that will become an upsell for people. Is to, instead of whether it's the videographers that are going to be doing it or the entertainment, it might be that, hey, we'll live stream your day and it's going to be live streamed so grandma can watch it. And this is, how we're going to do it, or how we handle it, and how everything's going to come together. And I could see something like that being a new long-term of upsell for the business.
I think what hurts a lot of people is, and we kind of talked about this a little bit before we went on air, just how there's some uncertainty of when states are going to do what. Pennsylvania has at one point alluded to the fact that we will not be allowed to have basically normal weddings until there's a vaccine. Whether you take it or not doesn't matter, but until it's there. If that were to come out into a concrete form, I think a lot of the couples that are waiting or that are willing to wait might suddenly be like, let's look for that other option. Because I mean, they're saying, could be 9 months, could be a year and a half. It's not as simple as just waiting until the fall.
So we've done the weddings where there's family members who are on oxygen. And generally these are summer weddings because those are the family members that wouldn't be going out during the cold and flu season. If this, and it is looking like every indication is that this virus has no respect for summer. The only thing it seems to respect is when you're outside and there's a lot of air moving around, is about the extent of it. So we'll have at our summer weddings, those people who are sensitive, whether it's, the older, whatever, I think we're going to have family members who just are going to be, their doctor is going to recommend that, you shouldn't go into rooms with a group of people. And that, I think, regardless of the vaccinations, it's going to be a part of the thought process for a period of time. So that could be something that could be a huge upside. I don't even know if, as more things open up, I don't know if that's going to change it, because there's still going to be those people who just can't go or won't go because of their concerns of health. And I had that conversation with a DJ today who is has some health issues, and he's up and he's like, I'm in some ways I'm the healthiest physically because of exercise that I've been, but I have some immune deficiency issues that if I catch something, it knocks me down, and in this case could knock me out. And he's contemplating possibly retiring just because he doesn't know. And right now he's having brides call, and they're like, hey, I know you've had some health issues in the past, and we don't want to be the one who gets you sick. So if you need to, step away from our wedding, we completely understand. And so
that's awesome that you've got. I mean, that just shows the testament to that DJ and how he or she has worked with their clients.
Very much so, yeah. And
because to have a client go, we care about you that much. You know what? If we need to back out of this, no hard feelings. We're not gonna blast you on Facebook. We're not gonna create problems for you. We understand and respect that. Because you don't see that a whole lot, and that's been some of the other things that we've been seeing on Facebook lately, is just the
lack of
understanding.
Yeah, there's absolutely no understanding. You don't see it my way, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that going on. Okay, so we talked about some gear purchases, some advertising things, again, some video things. Media. I've heard people talking about this, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not doing any shows. I can cut my music service, or I can trim my music services down, or whatever that there is going to that." I was actually thinking about this the other day. For those who aren't doing shows right now, this is actually a time to spend a little bit dabbling and checking out some of these different media sources out there. Hey, check out Select Mix and see, because they've got their remix world, and see what that's like if you've never used it or checked into it. Ultimix is another remix source that's out there. I mean, there's so many different spots for getting, even within the promo only world, they were opening it up so people could sample everything. And I think Top Hits USA is doing the same thing. You can contact. This is the time to really go out and see what's out there and see what the new DJ John Young could be like when we come out of this type of situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things you hear is, I don't have time for that.
Always, yeah. We've all been there, but it's like, oh, wait, we do have time.
Yeah, and in the same respect, I mean, we're not. It's not something you have to spend weeks upon weeks when you're trying to check out a music club or a music service. It wouldn't take long for you to be able to get in there, look around their things, and see what they have to offer. And a lot of them end up offering you like a free trial of some sort, where you get 7 days or whatever it might be. That in this time, that might be all you would need to do to really see what they have and what they can offer. That's going to open up for you, maybe better remixes, better versions, cleaner versions, whatever might happen to be the case for what you have.
Yeah, or if you like, MJ, the way he's got versions for different situational versions. Oh, let's see. It's the sun is at 6:30 and the wind is blowing out of the west at about. Oh, I need to play this version. Oh no, sorry, MJ. That was the wind out of the east version you played. You need to play that version with the winds out of the west.
He knows which way is west.
He does. He would know, and I'm sure he has a version for all four directions with MJ has things set up. But I think that idea of investing that time, and even like Brian read last night, he was talking about Crate Dig. He went to Discogs and he started going through and found a person that he felt that he could buy some things with from that particular dealer or what have you, and he ended up ordering a bunch of albums. Doing some research like that to in his case it's more for his personal collection, but a side thing that I've seen a couple of people doing is, and this has kind of been a pseudo dream, we'll call it for lack of a better way to describe it. It was doing a full vinyl event, going back and doing an old retro event. I've seen a couple of DJs who have done this. Small house parties right now with 8-10 people. It's just basically the family, and the DJ is there spinning just vinyl. They're not dancing really. It's just basically creating that chill feel, that chill lounge feel, all on vinyl. And it's like, gosh, another possibility of how that could all come together for folks. So it's interesting how DJs have found ways to generate money.
Yeah.
Whether it's been live things. I was reading one DJ was talking about they've been doing trivia on Zoom, and they now have found a way to make money with that trivia. And their statement was, I don't know, was it Sunday they were talking about it, and he's like, I don't know if I need to leave my house again. I'm making as much money doing online trivia, and people are having fun and they're having a great time, and they're winning a couple of prizes and such, and I'm making more money. And I don't know how they're charging. I didn't ask in that realm at all, but it's an interesting thing of how creativity has led to them making some money.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. We were all taken aback in the very beginning, just when it all hit. It was kind of like, okay, and it's going to last a couple weeks. Whether you look long term or not, that was kind of your hope.
Yep.
And the ones that are tending to do the best are the ones that have gone, you know what, I need to start thinking of something different here. And maybe it was out of, I don't really like doing these trivia events in the bars, but I like doing the trivia part. So how could I do that? And just maybe running with that. And yeah, I mean, especially if you can make money and you don't have to deal with the drunks, face to face, or if you go, oh, you're being too noisy, mute, take advantage of Zoom's features. I get that. I totally get that, 100%, and being able to run with it. Yeah, I mean, the same respect, if I could do trivia night out of my house on a weekday night, my kids can be upstairs sleeping and I can be down here working, and I don't have to worry about someone covering for them, or if my wife's busy, it's not a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. And that's I've got a couple of leads. That's actually one of the, I want to have a guest here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, that we'll be talking about, because it's more than one person who's doing it. It's interesting. There's some things people talk about a lot, and some things you don't hear much of. And this is one of them that fits into that latter category. The ones who are charging and making money off it aren't talking about it. Checked out the Ask the DJ section in Virtual DJ. A little bit, we'll just, we've talked about that actually recently because of Brandon, my son, who just brought the power supply. Yay. So it's up to 20%. It was down to 9%. And it's like, okay, if I start streaming, it's not going to work. He's created a COVID request system. Basically, it's very similar to Ask the DJ on Virtual DJ, but it's a standalone, so it can work with any type of device. So MJ has very extensive knowledge of Ask the DJ. He's used it a little bit. Not as much as maybe some other people have, but it's Virtual DJ, so he knows it very, very well. I think Brandon, I was talking to him earlier. I think his plan is Monday, June 1st. He wants to do another Monday evening to do another open session to show his DJ request system. Where for those of you who didn't get a chance to watch his first one, it's a a cell phone based using browser, but what you do as a DJ is you log in, you create an event, and then it gives you a QR code, and that QR code will have your logo in the middle of it, so it looks really cool. And you can print that out. You can have it on your device, but you can have it on the tables at the event, so people can scan that, and then it pops it open on their browser, and they just type in the request and hit send, and it comes to your device, whether it's laptop, tablet, or your phone. Then you can see the request or the shout out, and you can either choose to mark it as played, delete it, whatever. And it's got a management system with that. The idea behind this is that people don't have to come up and get near the DJ. They can make requests from across the room or anywhere as long as they have internet. And he's been working on that. And MJ and Howie and Jimmy and Scott, they got to check it out about 10 days ago or so. And it has a lot of potential. But again, it's very similar to Ask the DJ, except this can stand alone, so it isn't. You don't have to be a virtual DJ. If you're one of those hundreds of thousands that use Megaseg, you too will be able to do requests.
My water's too far back.
Yeah, sorry. I knew I just had to get it in there, actually.
I'm thirsty too.
Yeah.
No, I like that, and I think it creates a lot of features for it, and I think you're going to see some people would be willing to jump on that because at an event, I'm very hesitant to allow my laptop to go online. I'm weird like that, I guess, in some aspects. Or my laptop is actually connected to a router in my box that doesn't have an internet connection, so it's already kind of connected to something. So having the ability to do it on my phone would be preferred.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea we were thinking with the iPad. Or you've got the situation. So when I first had virtual DJ, I had my copy, and then once Michael started DJing, it's like, you know what, we're going to do this right. I went out and I bought a license for Michael. So we had 2 licenses. Well, Michael ended up inheriting my first DJ computer. Didn't even think about we needed to change the license on it. And because he and I never played at the same time, the licensing issue was never a problem until one of the times he was out doing a show and I was out doing a show, and it was on my side, actually, it popped up and says, oh, your license is already being used. You can't do your whatever it was. And it's like, so that's another reason why sometimes you don't want to have your computer online, because if happens to be some weird, in that particular case, it was something that we should have just done. I should have entered his code in on that computer, and we'd have been fine instead of using my login credentials. But I didn't even think about it. I bought it, but we didn't think about it. Yeah. Advertising can be done right now. I think probably, though, even when it comes to the marketing and branding right now, I think there's enough things that are going on out there that churches, that want to do some things, or schools that want to do some things. There's going to be groups. People are doing the movies. There's opportunities to get out there and invest not money, but invest your time to get your name out there and to be helping these groups, especially those of us who are DJs, full-time DJs, and we really aren't doing much of anything else. This is your time to, if they're open to outdoor dining. I was talking to a DJ earlier today, and he goes, I'm just going and I'm volunteering to play for their dinner hour, just soft background music, because most of these venues don't have sound systems outside. They've got the sound system inside, so they can do their music, and they have their music going, but nothing outside. So they're going in there and they're volunteering to play for an hour or two. Their idea is that the good feelings that they're going to get, that it will pay them back down the road. They're looking at that whole karma thing, So investing not just money, but time could be a long-term reward for investing that time.
And when we're talking about investing the money, I do want to. You do have to remember the fact that you're not using the same message that you've always used. In other words, you're not talking about the big lavish weddings. It might not hurt to have some piece in there, but if you're in a state that's not able to do those type of events, To spend a ton of money on advertising to that market, potentially not, not where you want to be doing, especially if you're trying to get some of these other options up and running, running with that and using that. If you're talking about those big lavish weddings and you're trying to promote for next year and you're trying to book now, different story. But take advantage of what you can offer now and let that lead your message of where you should be.
I wonder the message, if a person somehow wants to come across that you can be a problem solver, helping them find solutions for their things, but you don't want to come, you don't want to be selling the negative. That, things are so difficult, but I can make it easy. Obviously you're not going to want to go that way, but yet the things that we can bring to the table with, most of us with our experience of handling lighting and a little bit of video and audio, we have a knowledge that most people don't. So you're a problem solver, but you got to say it in a way that's not going to alienate and offend and make people say, oh, well, I'm not looking for a problem solver. I'm looking for someone to play music. Well, today you are. In a month from now, you may not be. You might be looking for someone who can solve those problems and give you that peace of mind or that experience that you'll remember positively for the rest of your life, or however the spin doctor would put the spin on it.
Well, and the best way to do that would be to find old reviews that you've had. Something that a client said, and you never even thought about including it maybe before, but something about something to the effect of, they took care of stuff that I didn't even know happened, because that's who they were. Or, so it's something that's in there that alluded to the fact that you were working behind the scenes to make sure that their day went off flawlessly. Mm-hmm. You're not throwing that out there, but you're putting it out there to recognize that you're there taking care of those things.
Right. Good point.
A little more subtle than, hey, look at me, I took care of everything. But it's still getting that right message out for them.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Having past clients basically allude to it, so then they're like, oh, they take care of things behind the scenes. There might be things that they could do for me. Yeah, very good angle.
Because you're right, you don't want them thinking negatively.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want the negative thought and you to be in that same frame. You can be more blunt in it maybe when you get that meeting, to say, hey, listen, just so you're aware, there are things that you may not be prepared for. I can help you take care of that. But when you're talking about that initial message, those initial touches, you need to find another way to go about it. More subtle.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So when you are to the rescue service, that's good, Randy. I like that. And you can have a little beacon on the top going, woo, woo. That'd be so much fun. That would be fun. So anyway, that's what we just wanted to have that little conversation about. There's things that could be done gear wise, could be done business wise, to utilize the time, utilize the opportunity to maybe to get your name out there more. There's a lot of things, a lot of potential right now for doing things, and as much as I don't want to offend anybody, none of those things are having us mix on Facebook 4 nights a week.
No, that's Twitch. No, I will say there's one though that we kind of flipped over, and you kind of, it's kind of weird because it's almost like we're preaching to the choir because the people that are watching us typically are already doing this, but just the idea of education too. Yeah. Taking advantage of this opportunity, watching the videos that you haven't put time into. It was actually kind of funny because I've got a virtual prom coming up this weekend. I was like, you know what? I need to go back and just kind of refresh myself on a couple of things. And I watched the video from Rick Webb from last May that I totally had forgotten about. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, you know what? I think I remember him doing something. I meant to watch that. I know I meant to watch that and I just never did. And I sat down and I watched it and I went, light bulb. So it was just one of those moments where things started kind of piecing themselves back together. They're taking advantage of those educational pieces. Obviously we've got the DJ and TV videos that you can check out, you can be a part of, and that offer is still going on, right, John?
Oh yeah, yep.
Okay, good. Um, so you have the opportunity for all the free videos and training to be able to dig deep and become the insider and just learn. If you're wanting to spend, because since we are talking about spending money to make that investment, Peter Mary just dropped 4 videos, I think on Monday or something like that. So, there are other opportunities also for you to be able to pick up and run with and learn and take advantage of this downtime to do so.
I think the interesting part of the educational side of it is initially when this first happened, I think there was this shock that people went through. Then I think some people jumped into that and they got into it. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. And then once it became unknown of when we were going to get out of the situation, I think that it became, I don't want to say hopelessness, or there was hopeless, but I think that the urgency to learn things that I can apply to my business really started to wane. And many of the content creators that we've talked about this is that it just, you can see that went away. People weren't wanting to learn heavy duty, how to run my business type stuff. They were, in many cases, that's why the chill room is done so well. It's that spot where people can go and just be around other people who are having the same pain that they're feeling, and to say, hey, I'm not in this alone. There's other people who are doing the same thing. Yeah, it's the education side. It's like it's there, yeah, but we can see how the numbers have fluctuated. I wonder if this is going to be something that people may do, like a study, like, okay, I'm going to learn DMX programming as an example. I'm going to do this one thing and I'm going to work on that. Whether it's, I'm going to go read a Zig Ziglar book and I'm going to just dedicate myself for the whole week to reading this book and really just ingraining things. If that's the type of educational opportunities that people are going to benefit the most from right now, we do have a lot of great content. Don't get me wrong. You hit the nail on the head there, but it's like people that learning 10 topics is might be too much right now, or people just need to do and focus on one area and one thing.
Yeah, digging deep into that one area that's going to help you. And again, it's something that you may have put off, and it's also one of those things where I think what we saw we saw it in the beginning, because when we saw Mobile Beat suddenly was like not going to happen. So you had a lot of people that were going to go and either didn't go, and so it opened up I want that education. So they reached out. I feel like this is going to kind of come back around again if Expo doesn't happen, or if people are like, you know what, I can't go to Expo, even if it does happen. They're like, listen, I don't want to go, or something. Whatever happens to be the case, I could see during that time period, kind of that come back around. You know what? I feel like I need to learn something. I need to spend some time doing some of this stuff to be able to fill that void that I'm used to having that this time of year.
That's interesting. You mentioned that we were talking about there was that bump after Mobile Beat, and would we have that after Expo? And the part that we look at Expo is that Expo has never been a huge educational event. There are some people, don't get me wrong, but it's not. In Las Vegas, there were times where there were 1,500 people there to learn at the show. And Expo's just not been that type of event. So it'd be interesting to see if there would be a hunger because of people who couldn't go, or if it's more of that social. They're going to be watching to see what's the latest EV thing that they're going to try to drop here, or what's in music coming out with now that they had Stanton. They have Stanton. Are they going to drop something really cool that would have dropped at Expo? That'll be an interesting thing to watch. Because the chance of them having a show has got to be so incredibly slim out there right now. I don't know how they would be able to put anything together to do that right now.
Well, and it's just there's so many uncertainties and so many questions that it's not just is the state going to allow them to have a show, but then what are manufacturers going to do as far as coming to the shows? And yeah. I would not want to be in their shoes.
Yeah, exactly. That's for sure. So, Dan, we got to wrap things up. We are at the end of our time. Things have moved along well, and we've got Dave and I believe Dave and Jeremy are going to be coming up here in about 10 minutes. So, take us
You know what?
home.
If we keep talking, you know what? That they can be late.
Yeah, no, they can't.
Canada time is like nothing anyway. They're always late, aren't they?
Yeah, they're never late.
Oh, that's right. That's Canadians. Oh. Okay, so I guess we should wrap it up. So, on that note, thank you very much for taking the time to join us this evening. Hopefully, you got some ideas, or you kind of rejuvenated some thoughts of, you know what, I have a little bit set aside. I've been hanging on to it just because I'm not sure what to spend it on. Something we said tonight maybe sparked an idea that you want to take and run with. We wish you all the luck with that. In fact, when you do take and run with that, let us know how it went.
Yeah,
whether it's in a chat room one night with us or reaching out to us just to say, hey, this is what I did. We want to rejoice with your successes, and we want to come along with you in these moments as well. So thank you very much for doing those moments with us. And as far as I know, we'll be back on Monday, not on Wednesday, and at 10 o'clock, not at 9 o'clock. That was the other thing that kind of threw me
everything
out.
was messed up.
It's been a great night. Thank you very much. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.